what do you think about doing something like what we learned from this week? Like, let's talk about what we learned from in week 8.
Okay.
Like final things we learned, like to kind of close out the year. And I've got 2. If you could think of 2, I can give you 2 on my side. Okay, we are back. We are live here in the beautiful Sun City Sit Rep Studios. I'm Adrian Broaddus. He's Zay Galindo, and we are back for another edition of our Football Friday Night podcast. It's the Week 9 edition. We're here. It's the 4th quarter of the season, and it's the final stretch. All the games are heating up. All the action is here, and we are ready to break down everything in the past, preview everything ahead. In this episode in particular, we'll talk about what we've learned through 8 weeks of the season. We'll also talk and preview ahead of playoff implications, playoff matchups based on some of the standings that we've seen so far. We'll also preview ahead, which will be an exciting Week 9 here in El Paso for Football Friday Night. And looking ahead to Halloween, it's a spooky schedule. Not a lot of Friday games, a lot of Thursday games next week. So we'll talk a little bit about that, preview what's ahead. And we only have a couple more weeks of Football Friday Night left. So we are excited to break down all the biggest action when you need it most. This is the most important time of the season right now. So if you're not listening to us, make sure to subscribe to Sun City Sit Rep, the YouTube channel. Make sure to check out all of Sun City Sit Rep and all the great interviews that they've done over time. And then, of course, big shout out to the great team at VP Marketing and Warrior Allegiance for making this possible. Zay, we are back in action. It is week number 9. Football is winding down, which makes me sad. I mean, when you're in the thick of it, you're so happy because there's so much good stuff. There's upsets happening like crazy left and right. But now this is the time where we look back and say, where did the season go?
It's gone by so fast. And it's been a wild season. Looking back at it, we've had some crazy upsets. We've had some marquee matchups, which is something that I've missed. I feel like the past couple years, these matchups haven't had as much hype as they have this year. With the Eastwoods and the Del Valles and all that. It's made for an extremely fun year, and hopefully we'll have a fun playoff last couple of weeks just to cap it off.
Hey, I just want to mention for Sun City Sit Rep, if you are looking for starting your own podcast, if you've got your own business and you want to have a great story and you have a great story to tell in particular, check out Sun City Sit Rep. They have a beautiful studio out here. They can customize the space for you and your subjects that you want to interview. If you've got a big project coming up, reach out to the great people at Sun City Sit Rep. They'll break down what you need for a podcast. They'll coach you through it. They've got great equipment, great staff that can help you out, edit all the podcasts. So big shout out to Sun City Sit Rep for everything they do for us here for Football Friday Night. We are back in action. It is week number 9, and we're going to start it off with an interesting segment, Zay. We're going to ask, what did we learn? Let's talk about what we learned from last week and really throughout the entire season. So you kick us off. What did you learn last week from what you got a chance to analyze for high school football?
One thing that I learned is not to bet against Eastwood in a big game. I think that they have just shown that they come out when the lights are bright. That's when they perform the best, and that's just a testament to the program that Coach Julio Lopez has built. And he always is going to have his kids ready, no matter who the matchup is. I mean, they played the number 1 team in the nation, so I think that no matter who they're playing, when they're playing, where they're playing, they're always going to have a shot on the field, especially against El Paso competition. So what I learned is don't bet against them in a big time game.
Maturation has been so evident with this Eastwood football program, and I'll give you a couple of scenarios. I think defensively, they've really hung in all these games. Offensively, they're a balanced attack. We used to know Eastwood 5-10 years ago as being the air raid type of West Coast type of offense. They spread it out, throw the ball 50, even 60 times a game with quarterbacks like Andrew Martinez, Christian Castañeda. They've done it year over year to being that spread type offense. Now they can have their quarterback just hand that ball off. They can be very RPO centric. They can manipulate things. Not to take away from their quarterback Kingston Jeffries, who, in my opinion, going into next year's senior class, he might be my favorite quarterback. I mean, he is a tremendous game manager. He manipulates his offense the best way possible. And despite not having Jude Walker for 3-4 games, They really haven't missed a beat offensively, and they've done enough in order to win these games. A grimy game against Pebble Hills. They could have gone either way. Credit the Pebble Hills Spartans. They played a great game in that one too. Heard that atmosphere was wild for all the crazy reasons right there between Eastwood and Pebble Hills out in East El Paso for the Troopers hosting that matchup right there. But nonetheless, I'm with you. Can't bet against Eastwood in big games like that. And I think we sniffed this out a couple weeks ago thinking, could this be the best team in town? Undeniably, they are. They're the best team in town. And Eastwood looking like they're going to cruise to a gold ball, win that district championship on their side. They're going to host a by-district game. They're at least on track to do so, closing out the season against teams like Montwood and Socorro. So credit this Eastwood Troopers team. Really impressed with Julio Lopez and the staff. Really impressed with that defense, the way that they've stepped up over time. A lot of names on that team and some younger guys on that team as well. So really impressed with the Troopers and what they showed in that valiant effort and win against a team like Pebble Hills. So one of the things I learned, Zay, this weekend, I'm ready to say it. Davion Singleton is the best athlete in town. He is so amazing, man. I am such a fan of the Chapin, now quarterback, right? He churned from athlete to, run a little hybrid running back, wide receiver to now quarterback. And somebody was talking to me on the sideline saying, this is, you could kind of put him anywhere. And I was like, no, on this team, he's their quarterback. He cannot be anywhere. He cannot be the running back. He cannot be the wide receiver. He has to be the quarterback, because as this offense moves and as they've had a 4-game win streak in this 4-game stretch, and back in the district championship contention, it's all because of their coaching staff and their decision to move Davion Singleton to quarterback. I think when I got a chance to watch Singleton from the first game of the season at Franklin, he was stopped all the time. He didn't have the swagger, didn't have the moxie, could not play in space. The offense was all out of sorts. This time around, he's getting everybody involved. He has the swagger. He has the command of his own locker room. He has that sideline who he can empower as well. And he's not a huge guy. He's an undersized kid that packs a ton of power. He's not afraid of hits. He can shake off tacklers. He's shifty as hell. And I mean, Davion Singleton was such a fun treat to watch against Canutillo. It was a close game at first, and then they blew him out at the end. It was a 35-17. Real impressive win for Chapin, keeping their district championship hopes alive, punching their ticket pretty much to the playoffs right here out of District 1-5A Division 2. And for Davion Singleton to come back the way that he did at the end of this year, I just can't wait to see him at this next level, man. He's a tremendous athlete. I think he's the best athlete in town right now, in my opinion. And I feel like Davion Singleton should not be taken for granted.
He's so fun to watch. He's so fun to watch. And luckily, I've had the pleasure of watching him these 4 years and seeing how his game has progressed. But even since he was a freshman, he's been such an electric player to watch. And I think that quarterback position just fits him, at least at this level. He can do so much with the ball in his hands. He's, like you said, the best athlete on the field almost every game, right? There's really nobody who can match up with him, and he's it's just so fun to watch a guy like that play. He's quickly become one of the jewels of this UTEP 2026 class, honestly. Like, he's one of the best players UTEP will be bringing in from the high school level this year, and you see why. I mean, you see this guy play, he elevates everybody else around him. He's like a point guard in this sense, right? At the quarterback position, if it gets the ball out to you, it's like he has Dimer on 2K. Like, all your attributes just go up because you're playing with this guy, because that's how good he is, right? So, yeah, I agree. He's really turned this Chapin season around, that whole team, and yeah, don't take him for granted. Don't take him for granted.
I'm going to say this. I think he'd be a perfect punt returner year one. And that, call me crazy, but I think the way that his ability to be shifty, he can take hits. That's another thing, is Canutillo was laying it to him, and he could take hits. He had over like $175 in rushing yards in the first half, 3 total touchdowns in that first half against Canutillo. He can take hits. I want to see him as like a kickoff returner or punt returner year one, like right away. Don't redshirt this guy. Let him get bigger. He wants to get in the weight room. You can tell that he cares about this stuff. He looks better from right now at this point of the season than when he started the year, and even last year. He looks bigger, he looks more built, he can continue to gain more weight, and then he could be this like little tank. I don't care about the size with Davion Singleton. With a guy like him, he could just bring a ton of power athletically, agility wise, speed wise. Like that's what he brings to the table.
Yeah, and this is not a UTEP podcast, but the good comp for him is honestly Cam Thomas. Like I think Singleton maybe he's a little bit taller, but they're both guys that are kind of super agile, super fast, and they just make plays. And I think he's a playmaker, and that's what he'll be at the next level for UTEP. He's going to be a playmaker, and that's what he is right now because, he can throw for a touchdown, he can run for a touchdown, and he can make so many guys miss. So, Chapin, real legit contender. Who would have thought we were saying that after that Andrews loss? Who would have thought that we're saying Chapin has a shot to win this district championship? I honestly didn't.
All right, give me your next learn. What'd you learn?
So what I learned is I still think 4A might be open. I think Clint played Isleta really, really good last week, at least in the first half. And then Isleta pulls away. That score looks like a blowout. But, I think that Isleta is they're somewhat vulnerable. And I'm just saying that because Riverside is still right there. Riverside it's going to be a rivalry game. You can always throw out the records going into that one. And I just think that the Isleta, it's a great program, and they might run the table still. They might run the table, end up 10-0, but it's still open. A lot of people want to just say Isleta has that district title already in their hands. They really don't have to worry. I disagree. I still think Riverside has a good shot to beat them. And we saw, Clint is a good program, right? But I expected Isleta just to come out and dominate the whole game. They really didn't. They were played close in the first half, and I think that they showed signs that they're not invincible. And Riverside's going to try and exploit that. They have Carlos Rojas on their team. He's another really, really insane playmaker at the quarterback position who can make plays with his legs and in the air. So I think that that's going to be a really, really hyped up game. And don't count out Austin. I know they already lost to Isleta, but they have such a good team all around. Their defense is insane. They shut out an Irvin team. They would put up 40 points or more in 3 straight games. They shut them out. They shut down Michael Salazar. Dallas Medina really couldn't get anything going on the air, and that's because this Austin defense, I know their offense and their run game gets a lot of credit, but that defense does so much for them that makes their offense look even better. So I think the 4A is still wide open, even though Isleta has kind of cruised through this. Even the Austin game, they kind of cruised through that one as well. I do think that district is still open.
Yeah, and 7-0, only undefeated team here in El Paso right now for Isleta. The interesting part is this week they take on an Irvin team on the road in a Thursday night matchup. For Riverside, they square off against Austin this week. So let's bring some madness. What if Austin beats Riverside, and then next week on that Thursday game, Riverside beats Isleta, and then we've got a coin flip up for that co-district title when it's all said and done. I could see that happening. So I think that's a really exciting thing to look at. 4A has been a ton of fun. So I'm behind you with that one, Zay. My next one right here is going to come out of 5A, the big 5A, Super 5A, and I think we learned that this is El Dorado's district, and they're going to punch their ticket next week. To look ahead, El Dorado takes on Americas, and I think actually El Dorado's gotten better as the season's gone on. And so I don't think they're going to have any laps, but in case they do, they share that district championship with Americas. I think they get it outright. I think they go unbeaten in this district slate right here. This team, this nucleus is too good, and their passing game has actually improved as well, Zay. Like, they've actually really improved their passing matchup right there. So that's my last what I learned. Do you have any other learned thoughts here going into this week 9 slate here as we continue?
I don't. I think we'll have more. I think we'll know more after this week 9 slate. I think we'll know more, especially in 5A2. With Andrews Del Valle, that's going to be hopefully that's a great game. We'll see. And I think that the results of that game will really tell us more about everything as a whole, because Del Valle has played so many good, opponents. We'll see if their loss to Chapin was kind of just, not a fluke, I'd say, but something that they can get over, or if Andrus is the real deal, and if they'll win that district title outright, and it'll just tell us about the opponents they've played as well. So
yeah, I can't wait to preview Andrus del Valle. That's going to be such a fun preview when we talk about that one here in just a little bit. Let's go over some playoff implications, and let's talk about that next. Let's start off with District 1 4A, okay? With this one right here, as it stands, we got Isleta towering over everybody at 7-0, 5-0 in district play. Riverside's also 5-0 in district play, which makes things really interesting. Austin at 4-1, and then we kind of have a little bit of a toss-up for this final playoff spot. We got Clint, who's 3-3 in the district, Irvin, who's 3-2, who could flip things around this week, Fabens, who's 3-2, who is not out of it yet. Those three teams right there vying for that final playoff spot.
And they'll play each other in these final weeks. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I know that Irvin hasn't played Fabens yet, and I'm pretty sure that Clint hasn't played Irvin yet.
Fabens Clint this week.
Fabens, see, yeah. So these final few weeks, that playoff picture, at least for that fourth spot, is really going to start to show out. And I think that for Fabens and Irvin, like, this would be huge to make the playoffs. There's two programs that have just struggled the past couple of years. Irvin, I think they haven't made it since the COVID year. I think the same thing for Fabens. I think maybe it might have been pre-COVID, maybe 2021, but it's been a bit of a drought for both teams when it comes to making the playoffs. And, a lot of people just they underestimate how big that would be for a program that's in need, that has been struggling, a rebuilding program. Having a playoff spot, regardless of the results, and, whether you lose, you win, oh well, the fact that you made it, that's something you can build off. And I think that even for Clint, that's such a good program historically. These past couple of years, at least, they've been pretty good, county football. But I think it'd be more important for Irvin or Fabens to kind of pull off that upset, because I think that Clint right now would be the favorite to get that fourth spot. They did it last year. But if Irvin or Fabens can pull that off, that'd be huge for them. And I'm excited. I like to see the good stories. I was a big fan of Fabens in the early season, when they were off to that hot start. And then Irvin, it's nice to see them. They were a powerhouse back in the 80s and the 90s. If they can get back to that, that'd be awesome too. So I can't wait. Like you said, 4A is fun. 4A is fun.
It's a great district, and it's been a really exciting. I wonder what's the future of 4A, right? Does this get split up into two districts? Do more teams kind of move down due to the size and populations of these schools starting to trickle down a little bit? So I know this isn't realignment talk right now, but there's
next
something
week.
that I know it's right around the corner. It's something that we can talk about next week as well, because that could have huge ramifications down the line. Like, could we see any of these teams go to 3A possibly? Like, could we see a two-team split or a two-district split in 4A? Like, that's some interesting stuff. Or could more of those teams out of 1-5A Division 2 drop down to 4A, make that one super competitive with the likes of Riverside, Austin, Isleta, kind of towering year over year, and then some trendy teams like Irvin, and Fabens kind of showing what they could do on a year-to-year basis. So good stuff right there for 4A. Let's go to 1-5A Division 2. Andrus leading this district right now. Who would have thought? Who would have thought the Andrus Eagles 5-0 right now atop the district? Chapin at number 2 right now at 5-1. Their only loss coming to the Andrus Eagles. The Del Valle Conquistadores at 3rd. I can't believe we're even saying that to begin with right there. They're 5-1, 7-1 overall. So they have probably the best. They do have the best record on the docket right here. The final playoff spot, it's going to be between Canutillo and Hanks. 3-2 and 3-2 are both teams right now. Don't count out Burgess, a sneaky team who could sneak their way back in it, but they're going to have a lot of work to do. Canutillo on the road against Hanks this week should probably decide that final playoff spot right there. I still like Canutillo. I saw him this past weekend. Cesar Huerta, their quarterback. They get it done on the ground with Jared Gamis. They've got a really top-notch receiver, actually receiving core. Like, they've got a couple younger bucks on that receiving core, but one of the guys who stands out to me is like a 6'1" pass catcher in Richard Yano, who had a nice pass catch last week against Chapin. So this Canutillo team, don't sleep on them. They probably get that final playoff spot, at least how I see it right now, barring any unforeseen changes moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think Canutillo will probably be that fourth spot. And just when I look at this district, I see so much potential in the future. And I know we were talking about realignment, so this district might be shaken up.
True.
Next year.
True.
But if things stay relatively the same, all four of these, Andres, Chapin, Del Valle, Canutillo, they all have, I'd say relatively young teams. Maybe Del Valle not as much, but they're gonna be good almost every year. You can kind of count that in, right? There's such a good program, and I think that Andres, they have so much potential in the future. A lot of that nucleus they're only juniors. Same thing with Canutillo, and same thing basically with Chapin. I think that all four of these teams, I think 6A has kind of reigned king in El Paso these past couple of years, but don't count out 5A Division II in the next couple of years, because this is good football. All four of these teams have played really, really good football throughout the year, and they're gonna have tough playoff matches. But I'm excited, man. And who would have thought Anderson Chapin at the top of this district with Del Valle and Canutillo at 4?
Yeah, but then you had that lopsided 47. That's the one that everybody's circling in pen thinking, what happened right there? And the honest truth was, it was horrible weather. It was no Davion Singleton at quarterback, and it was a Chapin team that still lacked an identity at that point. And I give so much credit to Marco Chavez, the entire coaching staff, who I was watching on the sideline this past week against Canutillo, and was just really impressed. Like, they're all vocal. They all talk to their guys. They're not in their face and yelling at these guys, but they motivate their players in a pretty significant way. It's guys who've been with each other for a long time, so they've got that coaching chemistry. And I think this 2025 season was the first year where my eyes opened when it comes to coaching chemistry, like having that chemistry within your coaching staff and how important that could really be in terms of finding success. So great stuff right there. Really, really enjoyed what I saw from Chapin, and love that district right there in 1-5A Division 2. 1-5A Division 1, the Super 5A. El Dorado atop, 6-1 overall, 3-0 in district play. America's 2-1 in district play. Parkland at 1-2. Is Bel Air going to get a win? 0-3. All four teams make the playoffs, but I thought this Bel Air team would at least be a little better than this. Was very disappointed they lost to Parkland this year. I'm thinking, if you're a Bel Air Highlander fan and you're looking at this, you're trying to get another win against Parkland and maybe steal one against America's or El Dorado when it's all said and done. But for that Bel Air squad, I'm a little disappointed right there. And for El Dorado and for the success they've had, I'm very impressed with their group. America's is going to reign atop this district. You talk about the future. They've got tons of young talent on that team.
Yeah, talking about, if, like we said, if this district stays the same, if they stays in this 4-team format, whew, America's has got it. I think El Dorado with Ryan Estrada, they've won games these past couple of years. They have done what they needed to do. But once you lose a guy like that, it's going to be tough to beat America's, because they're going to remember all the losses they've racked up against Ryan Estrada and this team these past couple of years. And they're going to be hungry, because they do have that makeup in the future. They have the guys. And I'll be excited about that team. And then Parkland, a little disappointed. I think that they have the talent, but they just haven't been able to put it together. These past couple of years, this is a really good program that historically is a really good program. These past couple of years, they've been a little bit down, so we'll see if they can turn that back up. And then Bel Air, like I said, if they can steal a couple wins going into next year, they'll have real momentum under their belt. Marquette Beard, such a fun guy to watch.
Yes.
That's a guy in the future that I think, if you're struggling to see who you have at quarterback, it could be like a Davion Singleton. Put him at quarterback and see what he can do, because he's so electric. I think he's leading that district in receiving yards, and that's saying something when you have guys like Jadarius Sanders in that district, And, of course, El Dorado, Ryan Estrada, they have real by-district hopes, and we'll see if they can pull that off.
Yeah, I'm excited. 1-6A. Let's go. This is a fun district, of course. Atop the district, Eastwood 4-0. Right behind them, Pebble Hills and Franklin. Pebble Hills at 2-1, Franklin at 3-1, then Eastlake at 2-1. Pretty much out of the playoff picture. Socorro at Montwood, you can eliminate both of them, 0-3 and 0-4 respectively. And then Coronado, you can pretty much, barring some kind of crazy turnaround over these last 3 weeks, they're 1-2 on the year overall. And man, some of the people out there had predicted them to win this district. I don't even know what they were thinking right there. But for Coronado, they've dealt with a ton of injuries this year, so I feel for them. I feel for their coaching staff. I know that they want more production, more success down the line with a younger quarterback in West Stansbury. They made the switch this past week to Ben Wilson, won the game, had success. I was surprised by that one right there. And for Coronado, I'm happy that they finally got off the losing side of things and got a victory under their belt. And then on the flip side, it's going to be who hosts a playoff game in District 1 6A, right? Like Eastwood's going to punch their ticket pretty much, barring anything crazy or unforeseen to close out the year. And then you got Pebble Hills, Franklin, Eastlake all vying for that second spot to try to host that playoff game in 6A. I would, Franklin has Eastlake this week, which we'll get into in a little bit. Then they close out the year against Pebble Hills. Pebble Hills on the year, coming up this week. This is, for a Pebble Hills Spartans team who had such an emotional game against a Eastwood team who was ready. They get a little bit of a break this week, and they take on Socorro. Should be a good opportunity for them to get back on the right track here. But any thoughts going into 6A, as we kind of pretty much know the playoff picture?
Yeah, I think that Coronado, these past couple of years, they get hot in November. They do get hot in November. They make kind of a little bit of a run. So I do think the Eastlake's going to get that final spot. But, like you said, it would take a miracle. But we've seen crazier things happen. So I wouldn't say 100% for Eastlake, but 95% sure they'll get that fourth spot. But when it comes to 6A, whoever can host that playoff game, that's going to be huge. Because at this point, you're going to have to go on the road to probably Odessa Permian or to Friendship up there near Lubbock, and those are two really, really good football teams. So if you have the opportunity to host, you'd probably be hosting a team like Midland Legacy or Midland High School itself. And those are still at least one really good team in Midland Legacy. But even then, I think that hosting a playoff game gives you so much more. It gives you more of an opportunity to win. It gives you at least one more home game. And if they're able to get that done, that'd be huge, especially in 6A. I can't underestimate how big hosting a playoff game would be and how much it ups your chances of winning a by-district title. And that's usually the goal with a lot of these 6A. A lot of these teams in El Paso, if you can win a by-district title, that's huge, especially against out-of-town competition. So I think that it'll be interesting to see how this final playoffs kind of holds up. Eastwood, like you said, you can kind of close. I wouldn't say close it off 100%. You can never close it off 100%, but they can kind of cruise to a district title. That second place, though, we'll see what happens.
I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a tough one either way because the by-district matchups are gonna have to play in Midland. Really good opponents, by the way. You just touched on it with Legacy, but really tough opponents right there as far as that 1 through 4 over there in 2-6A for their opponents that they would have to play in by-district. So let's talk about the Week 9 preview ahead. We've got an exciting slate of games. Let's start with your game, the Jefferson Chapin game. Is this senior night for Chapin, and what do you want to see from the Huskies here?
I just want to see them take care of business. They did that against El Paso I a couple of games ago. I think kind of see much more of the same, right? Maybe you'll see some other seniors get out there and have some fun, but I know that we said this about the Chapin Del Valle game. We said probably wouldn't happen that Chapin would win. They ended up winning. I can tell you this for sure. All love to the Jefferson program. I don't see a upset happening anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think this is a pretty standard game. Gonna be a fun game to watch. Kind of Davion Singleton work out some new tricks with them offensively in this game and just get right going into this final stretch of the season. So I'm with you completely. Some other games to touch on this week. Eastlake Franklin. This is a home game for the Cougars and for Ernie Powers and for this squad right here for Franklin. Another opportunity to gain some confidence against a quality team, right? You could say against some of the other quality teams this year, aside from Legacy, who they ended up beating. But you look at, first off, Del Valle on the road, and then you look at the home matchup against Eastwood. Those are tough losses for Franklin, right? So to have a quality win, especially in district play under your belt and at home, this is senior night for the Cougars here coming into this matchup this week. It's going to be a big opportunity for them. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they have. And look, like, I think as the season's gone on, defenses are scheming and putting 8 in the box. They're really loading it up, forcing Ernie Powers to run outside. It doesn't really matter because when he breaks one tackle, he's gone. As soon as he turns the jets on, he's out. He scores a touchdown, no doubt about it. This could end up being a lopsided game, could be a high scoring affair. Eastlake doesn't have a great defense right now in terms of holding teams to low scoring in matchups. So I want to see how Eastlake can keep up with Franklin offensively. And on the flip side, I want to see Franklin throw a little bit more than just that run game out there. I know the passing game has had its ups and downs. I think when it's used in gadget situations like it was used in against Montwood, they had success. I mean, 2 touchdown passes from Lucas Garza to Santiago Perez in that game against Montwood. But against an Eastlake squad right here, they're going to have to really mix in the pass. I would like them to establish the pass early. It's not like they have bad receivers. They have pretty solid ones this season. It's just trying to get, back to that confident offense where they're scoring a ton of points and really leaving their other team and their opponents in the dust.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when it comes to Franklin, they have the talent. Like you said, they have the talent. They have the offensive firepower. And there's just times where, there's not much you can do when the other team knows you're probably just going to run the ball, right? And Ernie Powers is a great back. He's a great player, great prospect. But, you can't be one-dimensional. So I agree. They need to be able to work something out in the pass game, especially with the playoffs coming. If you want to win a playoff game, especially against out-of-town competition, you're not just going to be able to run it every single down, especially on the crucial ones. You're going to need to mix in some passes here and there, and I just want to see them kind of control the game a little bit more. I think that with such a good running game, you kind of have to use that to your favor and control the game, control the clock. That way you can kind of give your defense some rest, and hopefully your defense is able to go out there and get it done, which, I think that they have a solid defense, but they have been, they have some lapses. They have some lapses throughout the year. So if they can get a couple stops and keep this one relatively low scoring against an Eastlake offense that is pretty high scoring, they're a pretty high scoring offense. I think if you can keep this one, at least keep Eastlake to maybe the 20s, that'd be a big win for you. Even if you end up winning this game by, 30-60, I'd rather see Franklin win maybe like 31-20 than 60-40. I think that would give me more comfort with them going into the playoffs.
Good point. Canutillo Hanks, how do you see this one?
I see Canutillo winning. I think that Hanks, they're a good team, right? They're a really good team. They have the talent. They have the Dusher kid, Morales, and Robles. It's a big three that next year is probably going to be even better. Right? They're all juniors, but they just haven't been able to win big games, and it's not even the lack of winning big games. They've been dominating a lot of these big games, especially against teams like Valle, teams like Chapin, teams like Andrus. You really haven't seen a close game out of those besides maybe the Andrus game last year when Andrus wasn't even that good last year, right? So they need to go out there. If I'm Hanks, you need to show that you can compete with the big boys. You need to show that you can compete with Canutillo. Last year, Canutillo destroyed these guys. I had that game. And it was sad for me because I expect more out of Hanks. I think that they've built a good program. They have the talent. They just need to go out there and win a big game. They had a chance this year against Americas. They were looking really good. If they win that game, their season can be so much different because they would have that confidence of winning a big game, but they just haven't. They haven't done it since Americas last year. And I want to see Hanks win a big game, but I still have Canutillo in this one. I think they run away with this.
Yeah, I think they run away with it too. It's a road game. That's the only thing is like sometimes when you get off the bus, how are you doing when you're getting off a bus? And they're coming off a big loss against Chapin. So I think in that Chapin game they were flat. Like if you had more juice for Canutillo in that game, they maybe keep it even closer. And then that 35-17 score would indicate. But nonetheless, I think Canutillo runs away with this one against Hanks. And I'm with you on that one. Now let's do it. Let's preview the best game of the week. And it's our Warrior Allegiance game of the week. It's the one that makes us sit up a little bit, the one that makes us excited, the one that we're going to be listening to big game Steve Escajeda the entire game, who's going to be out for this matchup right here. It is Andrus versus Del Valle, which could decide the district here when it's all said and done. On one side, Andrus. What a season they've had. Their trenches have been so impressive. Offensive line paves the way for their run game. Defensive line has shut down a lot of different teams all season long. Then you think about their skill position players. players. I mean, one guy that comes to mind right away, Avant Clayton, who's going to be the best player out of that sophomore class. In my opinion, I just think this man is so athletic. He's long. He can catch every pass that comes his way. He could break tackles. He could find the end zone, and he's had success all season long as just a sophomore. This is a younger player who's already emerging onto the scene in a significant way for one of the best teams in all of El Paso. Andrus deserves to be, looked at as in a really high regard. On the other side, Del Valle, you think about their big games this year. Franklin, home game at Conquest Stadium. You think about their other matchup against Chapin, home game at Conquest Stadium as well. They love their environment. They love to win at Del Valle. They always play better when they're at home. This one's a road matchup right here. On the road in a big, significant matchup right here, and they've got a little bit of wrong to right here in this matchup. They want to flip that script of that loss that they had against Chapin, and could we see a three-way tie for this district title between Chapin, Andrus, and Del Valle? I don't like that. I like a one outright winner. I want one team to tower over everybody and take that district championship themselves, so then they have bragging rights moving forward. But on Del Valle's side, you got the senior year of Jake Fetty. You got Josiah Nunez. You've got Abraham Garcia. You got Santi Baez, who we forget about every single week. My favorite guy, Adrian Viscata, the Viscata brothers, who've been outstanding on defense for Del Valle. The key for this one, for me, who has the best defense, right? Del Valle has shown throughout the year that they can make big stops on fourth down situations. Andrus is a smart team. If they're in a fourth down situation on their own side of the ball, or on their side of the field, they're going to punt that ball away. They're not going to do anything crazy like go for it on fourth down in critical moments. So when you're looking at this one in a big picture, best unit versus best unit, I think the best unit on this Del Valle team is, of course, their offense. You're gonna trust Jake Fetty with all of his prowess right there. On the other side, that best unit for Andrus could arguably be their defense. Only 7 points allowed to Chapin. What they've done all season long to be successful, even against that El Dorado team who showed a lot of fight in that matchup when they had an opportunity to show that they could advance. They didn't allow that team to just put up 60 on them. That was a lower scoring affair compared to some other matchups that you'd see for El Dorado's favor. So preview this game before we make a pick.
Oh man, Steve Escada, man. I tell you right here, I'd give up my firstborn child to cover this game. They're playing relevant football on Sun Valley Drive in November. It's been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming. We haven't seen relevant football for Andrus this late in the year in so long. And the fact that it's a home game should be a great environment. And, man, this is going to be such a good game. I hope it's going to be such a good game. I hope one team doesn't really outshine the other and it's really a dominant victory, because this has, like you said, so many implications when it comes to this district title. And like you said, for Del Valle, they're going to be looking for a big win, right? Because they really haven't had a big win since maybe Canutillo, and if you want to count that as a big win, they kind of struggled in that one too. But if you don't count that as a big win, their most notable win is the Franklin win, and since then it just hasn't really come for them. They only have that loss to Chapin, and they're going to be hungry. And like you said, it's going to come down to who has that better defense. And right now I do have more faith in Del Valle just because they have been tested by Franklin and by, Canutillo and by Chapin. Even though they lost that game, they're still tested. They held them to 24 points. So I'm excited. I think that Andrus, this is their big game as well. Like, this is it. They really haven't had a game as big as this in a while. They need to throw the kitchen sink, because you win this one, you still have to go through Canutillo, but chances are you could win that game and you can give yourself that outright district title, which is something you've been working for. And I think it's a different team than what we saw in week 1 against El Dorado, right? They only put up 12 points offensively. Like you said, that defense really stood up, kept them in that one. I think this offense is completely different. They kind of rely on the run a little bit more. We had the resurgence of Carmelo Jones. He's really come out as one of the best running backs in the city. And I think with that gives me a lot of hope in this Andrus offense. This is going to be a fun one. That's all I know. And are we doing predictions yet?
No, let's say it. I'm gonna say it this way, okay? One side you have a really, really dominant run game. On the other side, you have a passing game that when those receivers are catching passes with Del Valle, it's hard to beat. It's hard. Like Jake Fetty's throwing the dimes out there. You just got to catch it if you're those receivers right there in this one. But it's on the road. It's in Northeast El Paso. Give me Andrus. I'm ready to take him. I'm ready to take him outright in this district. And you said it. You said you hope this doesn't get lopsided. If this is ball control, let's take the ball and let's work on time of possession football for Andrus. If this is a slugfest of a 10-0 game at the half, the Eagles are going to be tough to beat, like all the way through. Like this is their game right here to lose if they're up 10-0 at half, and then they go on and maybe get another touchdown in the third quarter, extend that lead a little bit. I don't like Del Valle playing from behind. I don't like Del Valle playing on the road in this matchup right here. And no knock against Fetty. I think Fetty's going to do everything he can to win this game right here against an Andrus team that wants it badly. It's just sometimes when you throw that kitchen sink out there and you have the guys to do it, don't overlook the team that's here right now. They're not a year away. They're here right now, and that's the Andrus Eagles. And I think it's here, and I'm excited to watch them kind of emerge and make us all realize, wait a second, we missed this. Like this team was ready in 2025.
We'll see. I want to see how aggressive Andrus is out of the gate. And I think what I'm saying is I want to see how they use their quarterback, Jamari Milton, because he has been so good on the ground as well. He can use his legs, but he can sling it. And I think in some games last year, they only won 3 games. I had the chance to see a couple of them. I think in the big games, they were a little bit too passive with him. They relied a lot on the ground, and obviously their ground game is so much better this year. But if Del Valle solves that ground game, how aggressive are you going to be when it comes to airing it out with Jamari Milton? Because like you said, he has the weapons. That receiver core is arguably one of the best in the city. Michael Taylor, Avant Clayton, the Owens kid. Those are 3 really, really good receivers. Now, how do you use them, and how will you use your quarterback that can sling it? If they're not aggressive enough with him, I want to take Del Valle in this one. But, yeah, I'll do it. Big game Fetty. I bet it against him last time against Franklin. I can't do it again, man. I can't do it again. And, I think if you've watched this podcast, you know how much of a fan I am of Andrus. I've been on this train since week 1, but it's big game Fetty, man. He's going to be looking for something to prove, and I can't bet against that man, especially when he's looking for something to prove, like I said. So I got to go with Del Valle in a thriller, hopefully in a thriller. But you never know. Andrus got dominated last year against Del Valle. They're going to be looking for revenge. This is their chance. So you can convince me otherwise so easily. I can flip like this. But I'll go with Del Valle for the sake of it because, I bet it against them last time. Didn't work out in my favor.
I got to tell Steve Escajeda this one. 3 and outs. Try to watch and monitor the 3 and outs on both sides. Like, I think team with the most 3 and outs is going to lose this one. The team who could force the most 3 and outs is going to win this one defensively. This is a big game right here. And I haven't felt this way about a big game since the Franklin Eastwood game, which wasn't too long ago, right? But I mean, I'm very excited about our Warrior Allegiance game of the week right here. And Del Valle taking on Andrus here for what could be the district championship for 1-5A Division 2. That'll do it for us here on the podcast today. Zay, can't wait, man. Week 9 is here. We're wrapping up the season. Playoffs are right around the corner. This is a good time to be a football fan.
It sure is. It sure is. Marquee matchups. It's fun to see them really get hyped up, and hopefully we see great environments. Hopefully we see great games. Tune in. Football Friday night.
Football Friday Night podcast here presented by Sun City Sit Rep. Can't thank the team enough. Thank you to Jaime Huerta, Jaime Barraza for making this one happen right here. And thanks to the great team here at VP Marketing. If you're looking to start your own podcast, looking for a great studio to record some great stuff, this is the place to do it. Sun City Sit Rep. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. Sun City Sit Rep, and especially their YouTube channel where our podcast comes out every Thursday. This past week, we recorded a special Greater El Paso Football Showcase podcast. So make sure you check out that one and get ready for the big game on December 20th out at SAC 2 for the 915 showcase between the Blue Thunder and the Red Storm. For Zay Galindo, I'm Adrian Broaddus. We are done today for Football Friday Night Week 9 edition. We'll be back in action, the Halloween edition, coming up next week right here on Football Friday Night, presented by Sun City Sit Rep.